But in 6 months' time, what is it? What's the roadmap? Immediately, Tirupati. Next 35 days, Tirupati, Tirupati, Tirupati. Because it's the first significant opportunity to prove the viability of new politics. Because after all, the challenge is nobody disputes what Lok Satta is saying. Nobody disputes even the power of these ideas. Nobody disputes the attraction. But everybody quite rightly disputes the electoral outcome in the current Indian context, where zillions of money in the next assembly election, the general expectation is that the ruling party is likely to spend about 6 to 10 crores per assembly constituency. And their rivals are going to spend 60 to 70% of that money. Lok Satta party is going to spend 10 lakh rupees per assembly constituency, and even that money we don't have. Let's face it. So, given these formidable obstacles, and of course the muscle power and the irregularities and many things that are wrong, and of course emotionalizing politics and irrationality and so on and so forth, can it happen? So we have to prove it. Once you prove it, what happened to Barack Obama? 3 months ago, he was a nice guy, inspirational guy, exciting some young people and all that, but nah. Hillary is invincible. All that happened was he won in one small little state called Iowa in caucuses, not even a regular poll. That's it. Suddenly, here is this unknown commodity who is electable. And Hillary suddenly was driven back to the wall. Now, he may or may not win the nomination, but he's a major influence on American politics because one victory proved that he's electable. Now, we have to prove that what Lok Satta is saying is not merely popular with the people and right. It's not merely the desire of the people. People are also willing to act in that simple little way that Churchill talked about. The small little fellow in the small little polling booth on a small little white ballot paper with a small little pencil making those small little marks. At the end of the day, it is that changes the country. And if it's Olympics, will you get a gold medal in the Olympics in the 100-meter sprint? We can give a realistic answer based on your muscle power, based on your practice, your timing, etc. It's an individual ability, and whether you have a good day or a bad day. That's all. So you by and large know one of these three guys is going to be the next Olympic champion. Right? And almost certainly, in many cases, you actually can say, so-and-so is most likely to be the champion. Because it is a personal attribute. Hard work. In transforming society, if all of us believe it will happen, it will happen. If we believe it won't happen, it won't happen. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. No matter how wonderful the instrument is, no matter how great a party is, no matter how spectacular the leadership at various levels is, it doesn't take us far. At the end of the day, it's the people who must vote with their hearts. If each of them says, my heart is with Lok Satta, but I believe Lok Satta might not win, I don't know why, I believe only the cricket fellows will win, therefore I'll never vote for a cricket fellow. What kind of a logic is this? What kind of a logic is this? And the majority is doing that. Right now, believe me, we are at the right place in the cusp of history. Today, a majority of Indians is actually willing to change the country. Or at least desires to change in the country. But doesn't act on that desire. And each person says, sir, somebody else. And each person says, the masses don't accept it. I don't understand who are the masses. A hotel server actually tells me, sir, the masses still don't accept it. Who are the masses? Each of us thinks we are the elite. So where are the masses then in this country? Yes, 25-30% people still take money to vote. Though they don't vote for the same fellow from whom they have taken the money. Because if that is the case, no ruling party in India would ever have lost. Because the reality is, in most cases, ruling parties lose. Not because they don't spend money. It's much more complicated out there. So we have to start doing, and the middle classes, the youngsters, the educated people, even if it's a smattering of education, people who have some incomes, even if 3,000-5,000 rupees a month, they're still in a minority in the country, at least in terms of incomes. They have to come in big numbers to start voting with their hearts. And Tirupati, we're making it a centerpiece. Next, Hyderabad city in the next 3 months or so. Elections are due by April in Hyderabad, but typical Indian democracy, we don't know when. We just don't know when. 1 year, almost, after the corporation was formed, we still don't have the 150 corporated divisions formed. But we have to be ready anytime. These are the two big challenges in the next few months. And then we are launching a campaign called Surajya. On the 23rd of this month, we are launching that campaign. All that we are articulating, the basic concept is from Swarajya has become Swaha Rajya. I'm sure we all understand. Now we have to move towards Surajya. Merely because our fellows govern and we have elections, it doesn't mean much. We have to go beyond that. The elements of Surajya are good politics and freedom from corruption. Rule of law, so that the law is not for the rich or the privileged or those in power. Opportunities for all, education and health care. And a fundamental shift in power structure to empower the citizens. Transferring powers to local governments and district governments. And a few other related issues. So weaving around them, nothing new, but we have to now give a new concept to the whole idea of Swarajya, the second freedom struggle. So that movement is going to be launched on the 23rd of this month. It's going to be in Gymkhana grounds, the launch event. And please, as many of you and many, many more people, because normally Lok Sabha doesn't like big events, because in today's age, with internet, with television, with other forms, it doesn't make much sense. But we have a mismatch between technology and antediluvian politics. So unless at least some events are there, and they of course bring people by the lorry loads and pay money to get them, liquor to get them. The other day I was at a Mahadharna of all the opposition parties, and I addressed that gathering. They got people on the lorries and this, that, paid, open lorries. Still they could not gather more than 1,000 people. And yet it had 3 hours of non-stop television coverage, 20 channels or whatever, it is about 20 television cameras. That's the way politics is run in this country. So unless you can also make them realize that, look, this is not only the right thing, it's also the thing with traction, it will not work. So once in a while we require events, and 23rd is one such event, just like the launch event we had on 15th of October. And that we're going to have the whole Swarajya movement. And after 3 months, we're going to follow it up with the district governments, some kind of a silent revolution. Each district must understand what it will get. We won't give to individuals something, but we will give to districts and the localities something very concrete and tangible they can identify. We have to have our own unique strategies to sell. So this is the roadmap, and elections are probably around the corner in the sense that by end of the year we'll have the parliamentary and assembly elections. That's the right expectation. We must ready ourselves for that. Without that, we'll be in serious trouble. If Lok Sabha today has a fraction of the resources that these parties have, just 5%, they're out. They're out. Because we have something that they can never aspire for, unmatched credibility. Apart from an ability to find solutions which are really win-win. But without resources, it will not work. Chiranjeevi. There are 2 ways of looking at it. If any new players, and Chiranjeevi is obviously one of the potentially big players, want to come in, it's their constitutional right, but it's like, I have 1 crore rupees, therefore I'll buy a plot of land and real estate. So you do that. Similarly, my name is known for whatever reasons, and therefore I could convert it into political power. And power as a pure, unadulterated end in itself. That's one way. That's the traditional way of politics today. If that is the case, then we have 2 challenges in the state so far politically, we have a 3rd challenge. Because if the means adopted are buying the vote, liquor, gundas, criminals, corrupt fellows, the usual stuff, then it's a huge problem, and it becomes a bigger problem for all of us who want to transform the country, and we'll have to face that challenge because that's the choice we made, right? But if these players realize that there's something much more they could do, and they could play for history, and people want that, and they have influence, and they have resources, and they have the ability to persuade a significant section of people, then a strategic alliance is necessary. If that is the case, Lok Sabha has already stated publicly that our goal is not power per se. Power as a means to transformation, yes. But if transformation is anyway taking place, then we are not worried about power. We forsake power. We openly said it. Now, the choice is to be made by these players, not by Lok Sabha. Because we have nothing secret in this agenda. It's open. It's transparent. Now, how events unfold is dictated by them in terms of them. How we will respond is already decided and declared, depending on how their events unfold. I hope you get the answer.